So missing Lori and Aaron.
Thanks, Ian. Okay, welcome everybody. We are the Owatonna School Board. It's Monday, it's the 26th of August, 5:30. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Eric will give us an update on our attendance.
Yes, Lori won't be with us tonight, and Aaron possibly could be coming in late.
Very good. Let's start tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up tonight would be to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do you have anything to change, add, subtract? Hearing none, all in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Item 4 tonight is the mission moment. I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Elstead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Tonight I am just honored and privileged to lift up a group of our employees that are part of a first in the state of Minnesota. In partnership with the Minneapolis Public Schools, North Branch Public Schools, and Minnesota State University Mankato, we have launched one of Minnesota's first teacher apprenticeship programs to create pathways to teaching licenses for both rural and urban staff. We are so excited to offer this opportunity. The apprentices are current staff members who meet a number of qualifications, including have an associate's degree or qualifying credits. They will take classes, have firsthand experiences in the classroom, and be paired with a journey teacher before graduating with a teaching license in 2026. I would ask our teacher apprentices, the journey workers, and our administrative staff to come forward, please, so the board can honor you. And I'm not done yet, so come on up. So we are incredibly proud of our apprentices to take this journey with us and take that next step forward. So as I call your name, will you just give us, the board, a little high sign if you would. Gina Heron, Amy Richter, Reagan Shalau, Carrie Stieskel, Scott Stevenson, and Abby Sutcliffe. We are also grateful to our journey teachers that are walking this with them as licensed teachers to help them along the way. 2 are present tonight. I'm guessing 1 is probably at practice or doing something. So we have Wendy Kammerer with us tonight and Lauren Simon with us tonight. A huge, huge thank you goes to my colleague Chris Pica for her leadership. She has led this initiative from the start and has put in hundreds of hours creating this new program from scratch. There was nothing when we started. And where her leadership, in fact, Minneapolis and North Branch regularly call Chris to say, you created this, didn't you? So can you help me with this? Can you show me what? So a huge thank you, Chris. I would also like to thank Dr. Sarah Knudsen, Kelly Kruger, and Heather Schutte for their leadership as we make this journey together. They have all assisted Chris with this launch. I'm thankful for the excellent leadership and the ways that you are inspiring excellence for every learner every day. Thank you. I'm so proud of you and cannot wait to help you along on your journey. I'd like to give them a round of applause. And then I would open up to the board for questions, please.
Questions?
I just want to thank you for stepping forward and joining this program for us.
Yeah,
Hate for you to come back in 2 years.
right here.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to thank I'll echo that. Thank you for the risk, because this is a huge risk to say, yep, we're going to do this. So thank you, Ms. Pica, for that. And to jump in, especially on the first round of it, and having just trust in the process and trust in the people that are around you and are doing it. So thank you all. This is super exciting.
Yeah, just seeing this in action, it's fantastic. We've heard talk about it, now it's real. And this is just super cool.
Which schools are you at and what grades? High school?
I'm at high school.
can I just explain what happens here? So our model is such that we have 2 people at each level.
Can you grab the microphone?
Press that button if you would, Sarah. Thank you.
So our model is such that they'll rotate through each level. So they'll start a first semester, do a semester, then they'll switch like elementary to middle to high school. The 4th semester, so their finishing year, they'll get to pick which area they prefer and then finish up with a 2nd semester there. So we'll have great experience K-12 in by the time they graduate. So I think that's a great way to do that, and we've got great journey teachers to support them along the way. So really, really exciting, and we kind of hit the ground running today, didn't we?
Awesome, thank you.
And if there's any of you that are participating in this and wouldn't mind just sort of the very quick background, what were you doing and what was it about this that appealed to you and it caught your eye and you said, I think I want to pursue this more? Anybody?
This is my 5th year being a para.
Can you grab that mic?
professional. Yeah.
You got to use the mic or use the
I
coach voice.
suppose. This is my 5th year being a paraprofessional, and I was going to school to get my associate's degree. And then after that, I just was going to find a para to teacher program. And then Chris Pika emailed everybody and asked who was interested, and it's a no-brainer. Yeah, it's a really awesome program and opportunity.
Terrific. Anybody else, any questions?
Yes, I'm just curious if any of you know where you might want to work, what area, whether it's elementary, special ed.
This is a special ed program.
Oh, it's all special ed. That's
yes,
right.
yeah.
That's right. Okay.
I prefer to stay at the high school.
Fantastic. Again, thanks to all of you. We really appreciate your participation and Chris, the initiative and the drive to put all of this together. So thank you very much, all of you. Tonight, item 5 is public forum. Sarah, do we have any cards? No cards tonight for public forum? We will continue on. Item 6 tonight would be just general information. You did, in fact, have the enrollment report. There was one cell in there. I believe it was Washington Kindergarten. It looks as though the numbers are just a little bit high there. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Elstad with regard to the enrollment report?
If I may, when you go through a boundary change, you're going to encounter a few fluctuations that happen to be one fluctuation, and you get a move in or two into that spot. So we're looking, though, we have now officially capped the kindergarten enrollment at Washington. And so if we get any further inquiries about kindergarten, we'll have to utilize our other school buildings to make sure we're honoring the class size targets that the board has set.
Very good. Thank you. Hearing no other questions with regard to that, let's move on. Item 7 tonight, these are all discussion items, I should say. The first one would be the board forum, and I'll just start generally. Deborah, do you have anything for board forum tonight?
No.
Tim?
Nothing in general. Are we going to do the policy, or do you want me to share?
We'll come back to that. Yep.
Okay.
Nothing, Tim and I can tackle policy when we get there.
Okay, I have 2 quick things for board forum, and the first of which is, if all of you, if you have your calendars handy, could you take a quick look? In October, we have a work session presently scheduled for Monday, the 14th of October. And if you could look on your calendars to see if the following day, Tuesday, the 15th, would be something that's available on your calendar.
I'm good.
If we get a general, yes, same time. Yep.
Same time, okay.
Same
Yep,
time.
that's fine.
And what we'll do, it would be the same location at the district office in that same room that we met just a couple of weeks ago for the work retreat or the work session. So
So no meeting on the 15th?
No meeting on the 15th?
No, 14th, I'm sorry.
I'm
No
sorry,
meeting
yeah,
on the
I'm sorry.
14th, reschedule work session 15th.
right.
Okay. Thank you.
And we'll continue to keep you updated on that as well. My only other thing, quick item for board forum, Ian has been our tech support person here for our board meetings, and Dawson is going to be our new tech person. And so, board members, if you would, please make sure you introduce yourself to Dawson before you take off tonight. I know that when we meet here, there's typically all of us need some assistance with getting dialed back in with the Wi-Fi system. So introduce yourselves to Dawson before you take off tonight. I'm sorry. Eric, do you have anything for board forum?
I'm just excited for next week and everything to start rolling again.
Likewise, that's about it.
Ayub?
I don't have any specific things to mention, but from the students' point of view, some of the key things that happened the past week is start of sports, and tomorrow we have our activity night, so I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you. I do have one more thing. I ordered the books that we talked about at that work session, and I'll make sure that I pass those out to all of you before you take off tonight. Be sure and grab that before you leave. Let's dive in then. Item 1 on the board forum would be the superintendent evaluation summary. The quick reminder is, we talked about this at our most recent board retreat, as well as the work session. I provided you a copy of the summary, and I didn't hear from any of you that I needed to wordsmith or change anything. So for the benefit of the public, I'm going to just read quickly where we landed with this. In June 2024, the Owatonna School Board members were asked to assess Mr. Elstad's performance in the 4 foundations of district strategic vision, and the following is a summary of the responses. The first one would be the 21st century learning. Mr. Elstad is an effective communicator and motivator of the public. He engages with community partners to further public education and opportunities for our students. The learning opportunities available in the new OHS need to be leveraged and communicated to students and their parents. Under the category of high-quality teaching and learning, we observe that Mr. Elstad surrounds himself with high-quality administrative staff that share the vision of recruiting and retaining high-quality teaching staff. We believe his opportunity in this area is to ensure that funding is made available to professional development of the teaching staff. We also talk about safe and caring community. We believe that it is important to the board. Mr. Elstad is visible and maintains regular presence in all of our schools. We believe we would encourage Mr. Elstad to leverage all of the survey data, staff input, community resources to ensure the safety of our students. Under equity, Mr. Elstad believes in all means all, and every learner, every day. It's a recurring theme in all of his messaging. The board encourages Mr. Elstad to leverage his strength in publicly communicating his advocacy for our students. And as part of the overall review, we believe Mr. Elstad is a tireless advocate for our students. He surrounds himself with high-quality staff. His opportunities lie with delivering an educational experience that prepares our students for careers that are more varied than any time previous. Mr. Elstad, continued good work. Thank you for the great leadership that you are demonstrating for our district. Thank you. Item 2 would be school board committee meeting reports. Deborah, you and I are on facilities, and we have not had a facilities meeting since our last meeting. Tim, any updates for?
Policy has met twice since our last business meeting when we could address policies. And there's been a lot of change based on legislative action from this year in the ledge. So lots of law changes, reference changes. Really, the things that are all up for first reading today aren't significant changes, but they were just a lot of changes that we had to go through. There are other policies that we have continued to work on, and there's some required additional documentation, like a complaint form and some other things that aren't done. So we'll continue to bring more policies to the table as we get meetings together. But the stuff that you see first reading for tonight is generally just rote changes from things that the legislator did. Jillian, do you have anything to?
No, that was great. That was a good recap. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Any?
So just to clarify, are we just talking about the meeting minutes now, or are we actually discussing the policies?
We'll get to the policies in just a sec.
Got it. Okay.
Anybody else, anything to update for your committee meetings? Let's dive in. Item A would be policy committee meetings. I'm sorry, item 3, policy revisions. Here's an opportunity. So Elizabeth, you'd posed the question. Yeah, fire away.
Sure, yes. Well, one thing, just because I don't know how the process of policy revisions are chosen. So I noticed sometimes we might review 3, 4, 5 policies, and this time there's 13, which is quite a few pages of document. So is there any way that we could even that out somewhat, being that we don't get the notification until Thursday that this is what we're reviewing on Mondays. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
want to address that?
Yeah, I would love to say, yes, we can do that. But sometimes with the policies, sometimes it's just small grammatical changes or adding in references, and we can move through those a little quicker. Other times, it's really heavy lifting, and so we've got to have some conversation, we have to get some additional input, we have to have conversation, and so there isn't, I would love to say, yes, we're going to do these 6, and then these 6, and then these 6, but that's not how legislatively, that's not all legislative issues. That's just not the process that I've been a part of. Maybe that is a reality, and we can try to work through that. And
It's not really how the work flows to us, so it's.
Right.
Sarah, I didn't look. Are all of these redlined? So the changes are available?
they're all in there.
So Elizabeth, when you get those policies, you can see what changed.
Yep.
So it's not that hard to, I mean, at least identify what's a delta from the prior policy version. But if some of them are 30 pages long, so,
Yes.
and we go through them all looking for that.
all
and
of them.
That
Yes.
probably explains sometimes why it
sure.
comes in bursts too.
And then, so maybe the next question would be, how do you know, when you're reviewing a policy, what's your guideline as far as when do you seek opinion of the whole board versus just the policy committee? If you're making a revision on something,
When we bring them for first reading.
Right.
just for the first reading, okay. Because and just because, Jolene, you had mentioned that you seek other input, and would that mean like from teachers, from?
Input, let me clarify, that's leadership. And so it's, here's the policy, here's the legislative change, what impact, if any, will that have on specific grades? This new cell phone stuff that's coming down from the state. So what does that application look like at the high school level, at the middle school level? So that type of feedback, just to make sure that as a board, we are doing things just consistently and holistically within the district. Yes.
And policy sometimes is hard to implement, and so we have to rely on the creativity of the administration to say, here's how we can implement this. So then we make the policy match the practice that we can work with.
Okay. I have specific questions too, if it's time.
If there's,
Okay.
specific questions on policies up for first reading, now's your time.
Yep, so policy 616, school district system accountability.
Yep.
There were quite a few crossouts, and I just wasn't sure if there was just a big change. Here, let me break it down a little bit here.
Yep, so that one, and I'm just going right off the top with definitions,
Yep.
world's best workforce
Yep.
has been renamed, Mr. Elstead.
Comprehensive achievement and civic
Something in
readiness.
civic readiness, curriculum, comprehensive assessment and civic readiness.
Yes.
Yep.
If I may.
Yes, please.
The changes in 616 is a policy that we actually worked with as a committee for probably about 3 months. Because one of the things that was indicated by both Tim and Jolene is that we have to make sure that our policy and our practice are in alignment. And when we look at a policy, most of it is MSBA model policy. But in some cases, and MSBA encourages boards to look at particularly local policies like this, whether or not they're practicable
Yep.
in your district. And so as we review those, we're looking at our processes we have in place, the teams, and in this case, District Curriculum Advisory Committee is utilized, which is different than language that would have been proposed by MSBA. And so when we go through these, that's why there's a number of crossouts here. The other piece is that when they align, so if you look at the year 1, year 2, year 3, those are all encapsulated in the process we use with the District Curriculum Advisory Committee as we walk through how curriculum is approved in the district. And so that's a lot of the crossouts you see is just, it describes a process that is put into different verbiage within the District Curriculum Advisory Committee.
So, got it, that makes sense. Where it says district curriculum cycle, then exploration, transition, implementation, is that eventually going to be outlined further as the previous one? Or where do we find that information, the more detailed information?
It depends upon the implementation cycle that the Department of Education lays out, and it's different for every curriculum. And so sometimes it's proposed, there's opportunity for constituents who are across the state to respond, but once it's delivered, depending upon legislative action, they can enact that for something that's going to begin next year, or they can give you 2 years or 3 years. So looking at this, if we were to have a new Department of Ed curriculum that was provided for us, it doesn't necessarily fit what we had laid out before, which would be a natural cycle of reviewing curriculum. And that has happened more often in the last 10 years than ever before, where the department is saying, here's the new curriculum, and this is when you have to have it put in place. So then we have to speed up this process. We don't have 5 years. We have to speed it up.
Okay. So just below that, under 4C, what I'm wondering about is just let's see, the school board shall receive public input and comment and shall review this policy annually. So just to clarify, because I know that we have a district curriculum advisory committee, but I just don't know what they're doing, what they're talking about. Where's that information reported for any community member, or at least the board at minimum, to review that in more depth?
There are 2 board members that serve on the DCAC.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it does say adequate yearly progress reported, and I'm wondering, is there a certain time of year that we're getting that, like a progress report, or I guess I'm just wondering. To me, it seems like there's a gap in the information that we're, like a report that we're getting from the District Curriculum Advisory Committee.
So 2 things. The first of which is in November, we are required to report to the public what used to be the world's best workforce and is now is the CACR. They changed the acronym. So that will come in November. Additionally, we've discussed, or you've discussed as a board, that we're going to have a data retreat that would be just before that time.
Yes.
So you'd have had a chance to review academic achievement information, survey data, and kind of the composite of the data that we have. Many of those wouldn't necessarily drive curriculum review, but we respond to the curriculum as that. So at the CACR meeting is when we respond to some of the changes coming, particularly in reading. And of course, upcoming, we just implemented a new science curriculum here. We're in year 2, I think, of that. So, but that would be the regular report to the board and community.
Okay. So for D, 3B, where, let's see, the District Curriculum Advisory Committee shall provide feedback to district administration on school district-wide standards assessments and program evaluation, where it used to say provide feedback and make recommendations to the school board. And the reason that concerns me is because the state statute says that the school board is responsible to superintend and manage the schools. So I'm afraid if the school board is taken out of that we are not being held rightly, or we are being held accountable for something that's not being presented to us. Does that make sense?
But it is being presented to us in November. That report is presented to us.
It's a report on it's a report on what the legislation says we need to report on, but it's not a report on curriculum or anything specific to Owatonna. So I guess
I would disagree, because the information presented is reflective of our students in the assessments of our district. and we're governance.
Are you wondering what kind of curriculum we're passing out? Textbooks and lesson plans, or?
Not the specifics,
Okay.
because I know that would be impossible to just review every single document. But yeah, I would just like more information maybe from the District Curriculum Advisory Committee. So maybe that's something I need to come up with some specific questions for the committee.
Okay.
Am I allowed to attend a meeting, a curriculum meeting?
As long as there's not 4 members present, because that would violate open meeting law.
Yep. Got it.
A lot of good questions. Anything else?
I was just wondering how the composition of the Curriculum Advisory Committee is chosen, the members on there. Is it all by application, or just curious?
Yes. By application, and then we're striving to try to find, and within this policy, actually, it discusses the makeup of that District Curriculum Advisory Committee is to be representative of the community when it's feasible.
That's all I have.
Okay. Any other questions for item 3, which would be policy revisions? Hearing none. We'll move on to item 4, which would be the school board work session report. That is an item that you would find in your agenda. It's a brief overview. I wanted to thank all of you one more time for the retreat that we had, as well as the conversation we had at the work session. I thought that particular afternoon was really well spent and worth our time. And I thought the conversation we had was really rich, and open it up if any of you have anything else to add with regard to that. Okay, hearing none. Let's move on. Item B for discussion would be the administrative report. Mr. Elstad.
Yeah, I just have a few items tonight. Me while I toggle to this report. I am, last week we greeted a number of new staff into the district, and that was fun to see some new faces within our ranks. Of course, this Wednesday is our staff kickoff at 8:15 a.m. at the high school for staff only, but school board members are invited to attend if you wish. There will be a short presentation by the superintendent, and then we have a speaker named Gary Brooks, that is coming to speak to our staff. The auditorium will be full. We have over 800 employees that will be there. So, but again, I would invite you to attend as board members if you so wish. And one other piece I wanted to point out to you is that I have been notified that September 30th is a candidate forum, the first candidate forum for school board election. I believe that one is hosted by the Noon Rotary as well as the Chamber of Commerce. I believe it will be at the Owatonna Country Club. And I'm going to assume it starts at noon because that's the typical time for that candidate forum. So thank you, Lori. She's shaking her head. She knows. We have 8 candidates that are vying for the 3 seats that are up. So hopefully all the candidates can make it. And I do believe there may be at least one other candidate forum that will be available. Still waiting on confirmation of that. Those are the items I have tonight.
Good. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Elstad? Okay, hearing none. Tonight in item 8, this is the consent agenda. The quick reminder is we are approving the minutes from the July 15th meeting, disbursement and personnel reports. Any reason to pull any item out to vote on separately? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move that the board approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Eric, if you would, please.
Yeah. Elizabeth?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Jolene?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And I myself as an aye, 6-0 pass.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item 9 tonight, a couple items that need board action. The first one would be the extended trip request. This would be for FFA. I'll turn things over to Mr. Elstad.
Yes, this is an annual request by our FFA officers that attend the national conference for FFA in Indianapolis. And I believe they're going October 22nd through the 29th. They do miss a few days of school, 3 to 4 days. It's an excellent leadership opportunity and learning opportunity for our students that attend. And I would ask, and I would recommend that you approve, and I'm seeking your approval tonight for this extended trip request.
Good. Any questions? One of you be kind enough to introduce that motion for us.
I move that the board approve the trip request to the National FFA Convention as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item B would be truth and taxation hearing date. We typically set this in December. We have the benefit of Lori Voles being here as well. Mr. Elstad.
Yes, the Truth and Taxation meeting has been scheduled, or will be scheduled for December 9th at 2024 at 6 p.m. Typically, we have our board meeting at that time. We only have one meeting in December because of the holidays. But this meeting, we will start our meeting at 5:30, and then we cannot start the Truth and Taxation until 6 p.m. So we take a brief respite for the Truth and Taxation hearing and then return to our board meeting has been our typical protocol.
Questions? Do you have this queued up?
I move that the board approve the designation of December 9th, 2024 at 6 p.m. as the Truth and Taxation hearing date and time and a formal approval of the tax levy.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? In favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item C tonight would be the adult lunch price. Mr. Elstad.
Yeah, so this is just indicating there is a slight increase in the breakfast. And of course, student meal prices are null and void because we received this in our second year of free breakfast and lunch for our students. Adult meal prices, you'll recognize from your board report here that the breakfast prices are going up slightly, 15 cents to $2.40 for an adult meal breakfast, and lunch, there's no increase, still $5 for adults.
Do you have any questions? Pretty straightforward. Deborah, do you happen to have this?
I move that the board approve the increase in the adult breakfast price to $2.40.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item D would be gifts to the district. Mr. Elstad.
There's a long list of homecoming gifts in this week's resolution to accept gifts. Again, very, very honored to have all of the businesses that participate in our homecoming. It's a big deal in Owatonna. We love homecoming. It does bring our community together, and so I'm grateful, again, to all of the businesses that contribute to that. There's one other gift in here that's not in the form of money, but we received 768 backpacks from our partners at Costco to provide for our students that are in need. So again, community taking care of their children is a sign of a great community.
That's terrific. Any questions? Elizabeth, by chance, do you have this one queued up?
Thought I did. I move that the board approve the resolution for acceptance of gifts as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Oh, this is roll call, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. Elizabeth?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Jolene?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And I myself as an aye, 6-0 pass.
Motion carries. Item 10 tonight would be to adjourn. I will make the motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Good meeting, folks. Thank you. Be sure and grab your book before you take off.